Did you know that the methods Rome used to enrich entire empires still determine how you earn, spend, and lose money today? While you think you are just living in the present, economic mechanisms created more than 2,000 years ago shape your pocket, your debts, and even your purchasing power. Rome has dominated the world not just with armies, but with ingenious financial strategies that still resonate with banks, currencies, and global trade. Get ready to uncover secrets that could change the way you see money forever. If you really want to understand how the past shapes your money today, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Here, each video will open your eyes to the secrets of power, wealth, and history. Enable notifications and join us on this fascinating journey. Rome did not become an economic power just by conquering territories. Its true strength was in the way it turned these conquests into money. From the early days of the Republic, Rome developed an ingenious system of taxation and trade that guaranteed constant wealth to the state. Each conquered province was not only a military victory, but a mine of resources, grain, precious metals, slaves, and tributes paid in currencies that maintained the flow of wealth into Rome. This flow was so organized that even cities far from the capital contributed directly to the central economy, creating a sophisticated financial network that would impress even modern economists. A clear example is the tax on slaves. Every slave captured in wars or bought was registered and often sold in state-controlled markets. This trade not only supplied the Roman labor force, but also injected huge sums of money into the economy. At the same time, Rome introduced a standardized currency system, something revolutionary for the time. Before that, cities and tribes had different currencies, which made large-scale trade difficult. Rome centralized everything. Bronze, silver, and gold coins circulated throughout the empire, creating a uniformity that facilitated transactions, taxes, and even loans between rich and poor. Moreover, Rome knew that economic power needed security. Therefore, the profits made from conquests and tributes were used to keep the army strong and ready for new campaigns. It was a perfect cycle. Conquests generated money, money financed the army, and the army ensured new conquests. But don't think that everything was just profit to the state. Private traders and investors also benefited. They financed expeditions, bought property, participated in slave and grain markets, creating a class of rich who further boosted the Roman economy. And even if you think this is ancient history, these principles are alive today. The idea of taxes, private investments, standardized currency, and military finance has become the foundations of modern economies. Banks, stock markets, governments levying taxes, and even international trade strategies have direct roots in Rome's practices. The lesson is clear: understanding how Rome made money is more than historical curiosity. It is understanding what still shapes the financial world in which we live, and realizing how economic power was, from the beginning, a tool of control and survival. While the modern world struggles with inflation and economic crises, Rome already faced the same problems and learned to use them in its own favor. One of the smartest strategies of the empire was currency control. Rome often lowered the silver content of its currencies, creating more money without increasing the real amount of wealth, an ancient technique of controlled inflation. For citizens, this meant that the real value of their economies was slowly declining, but for the state, it was a way to finance wars, construction, and government spending without having to increase taxes dramatically. This economic manipulation allowed Rome to keep its empire functioning even in times of crisis. Another crucial method was the system of credit and loans. Merchants and investors could borrow money from the state or large patricians, paying interest that was extremely lucrative for creditors. The state oversaw the system to ensure that these loans would boost trade and empire expansion, creating a cycle of wealth that benefited both the elite and the public treasury. In addition, Rome imposed strategic tributes on the conquered provinces. But they were not just common taxes, they were calculated according to each region's ability to produce valuable grains, metals, or other resources. A gold-rich province paid differently than a wheat producer, and so Rome optimized the inflow of wealth almost scientifically, ensuring that nothing was wasted. Economic control also passed through luxury trade and the monopoly of certain products. Rome centralized the trade of salt, precious metals, and essential grains. Salt, for example, was not just a seasoning. It was crucial for preserving food and therefore extremely valuable. the state regulated its price and distribution, ensuring profit and social control. This ability to manipulate essential resources and money flow showed how sophisticated the Roman economy was, far beyond what many imagine. And even today, you feel the effects of that mindset. Central banks manipulate currencies, governments adjust taxes according to the wealth of regions and sectors, and strategic loans are used to control entire economies, just as Rome did. The difference is that, instead of emperors and senators, we have presidents, ministers, and CEOs applying old techniques with modern tools. Understanding these practices is not only fascinating, it is an opportunity to learn valuable lessons about power, money, and control, showing that the past and present are linked in ways most people never realize. Rome not only handled currency and tributes, but also built an economic infrastructure that would leave any modern empire in awe. Roads, ports, aqueducts, and entire cities were designed not only to connect territories but to create a steady flow of trade, resources, and wealth. Each road connecting Rome to a province had an economic purpose, facilitating the transport of grain, metal, slaves, and luxury goods. These paths not only accelerated logistics, but also ensured that the state could levy taxes and control in-transit merchants, turning infrastructure into a profit-making machine. The ports, in turn, were centers of global trade. Rome imported silk from Asia, gold from Africa, and wheat from Egypt, exporting wine, olive oil, and pottery throughout the Mediterranean. This trade network made Rome not only dependent on domestic resources, it was part of a global ecosystem of wealth. By centralizing control of trade routes and regulating the prices of essential goods, Rome was able to maximize profits and minimize losses. Every vessel that arrived at a Roman port was registered, taxed, and monitored, ensuring that not a single ship escaped from the imperial treasury. In addition, the exploitation of natural resources was done strategically. Gold, silver, and iron mines were administered directly by the state or by contracts with private investors who passed on part of the profit. This combination of public control and private initiative created a dynamic economy, where the empire and the elite profited together, but the population also benefited from jobs, trade, and relative stability. Rome also understood early the value of luxury goods. The trade in spices, textiles, and works of art was a constant source of wealth but also of political influence. Whoever controlled luxury controlled society and, consequently, power. Most striking is that many of these concepts remain today. Modern cities rely on infrastructure to transport goods, governments regulate trade and taxes, and strategic control of natural resources still defines who has economic power. What Rome teaches us is that wealth does not arise only from achievement or work. It arises from organization, strategic vision, and the ability to transform resources into enduring power. For you, understanding this means more than historical curiosity. It means seeing patterns of power and money that continue to shape your life, your investments, and even your daily work. Rome proved that whoever controls the flow of resources controls the world. And this lesson is as true today as it was 2,000 years ago. Rome's economic legacy did not die with the empire. It is still alive in every currency you use, every bank that manages your money, and every market that influences your consumption. Rome created tax, credit, and trade patterns that served as models for later empires such as the British and French, and that now inform economic policies around the world. When you pay taxes, borrow, or invest in stocks, you are, in a sense, following a path laid out more than 2,000 years ago. Moreover, the concept of economic centralization, with the state controlling strategic resources while encouraging private trade, is a direct heritage of Rome. Central banks, financial regulations, and even international trade policies mirror the Roman logic of concentrating power and wealth but keeping the economy dynamic. And don't think this is just theory, it's a reality that affects your purchasing power, your investment opportunities, and even the stability of your financial life. Rome also leaves us a clear lesson on debt and credit. The loans that fueled Roman trade created wealth for some, but depended on strict rules not to break the system. Today, governments and financial institutions still apply this principle. Credit is a tool of growth but also an instrument of control. Those who understand this have an advantage over those who only consume or spend without planning. And perhaps the most important lesson is about strategic vision. Rome not only collected taxes or exploited resources, it understood the future. It invested in infrastructure, kept the army strong to protect trade and resources, and balanced public power and private initiative. This combination of planning, control, and execution transformed Rome into a lasting empire. Applying this mindset today means understanding how money flows, which resources you can control, and how to use this information to protect and multiply your wealth. Therefore, studying the economy of Rome is not just learning history, it's learning power, strategy, and financial survival. Everything the empire created continues to shape the modern world, and every economic decision you make today is a small part of that millenary legacy. By understanding these principles, you not only understand the past but also position yourself to master the present and future of your own money. If this video opened your eyes to how Rome still shapes your financial life, like it now, subscribe to the channel and write in the comments which lesson you will apply first. Each interaction helps spread knowledge and ensures that you don't miss the next secrets that change how we see power, money, and history.